business analysis is made differently depending on the region, the job title, on the method of working, and in the future, is it gonna be more close to each other or is it gonna be even more different? I'm trying to figure out this kind of stuff, and for that, I'm talking with experts for in business analysis from different places in the world. And today's guests have worked across digital transformation, legal tech, and process improvement initiatives using structured frameworks like Six Sigma, design thinking, agile, and Scrum to turn complexity into clarity. Whether it's automating workflows, leading stakeholder engagement, or rolling out tech solutions, she brings a methodical approach that combines data, empathy, and execution. Welcome, Toni Falade. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Tony, I know that you are in Scotland and you just co-founded a community called BA Sphere. Tell us about what it is and why is this valuable for business analysts.
Um, Thank you so much. This is a really nice opportunity to be here talking about my favorite topic, business analysis. So, BS Fair was born at a point where I was thinking, how can we support each other to grow in our careers as BAs? And this will lead me to my early days when I started off as a BA. I had so many questions. I was so confused. I started by writing a certification, but afterwards, I needed to understand what the actual BAs do in their day-to-day work. I didn't have the full picture. I just had the theoretical knowledge, and I was looking for templates. Looking for mentors, and I really struggled. I sent hundreds of messages to people on LinkedIn, asking them to be my mentor, so that I could have someone who would hold my hand and help me to gain the confidence that I needed to become a successful BA. And someone finally said yes to me after several messages, and they supported me with getting the right experience that I needed to gain confidence. They opened my eyes to see what BAs do on a day-to-day basis. And I thought, I'm definitely not the only person that is going through this kind of situation. Why not bring all of us together, learn together, grow together, and have each other as our support system? So that is what's really brought the idea of BX Fair. And to ensure that it is sustainable, it is not just one-sided. Um, I have a co-founder whose name is Tosin Oludayo. He's amazing. We've From the very first day we've been working together to build BS Fair into what it is today. And BS Fair has over 300, we're nearly 350 now, members um, all over the world. We have people in different continents. And what I really like the most about BS Fair today is that we're not just looking to get out of the community, we're also giving back into the community. We have a team of volunteers, we're all volunteering, supporting people, encouraging them, giving them the push they need to become BAs. And that's the story behind BS Fair today.
And that's a great story. And now I believe you might have a different perspective on what business analysis is than you had when you started working on that and trying to figure out. If you would put business analysis value in a statement, what would that be? How would you explain business analysis for someone who doesn't understand it?
Hmm. Okay, so BAs are trusted advisors who work well in undefined situations, find out what the true problem is, and discover ways to solve that. So we are not just people who do whatever we are asked. We're people who work with mess, a lot of messy situations, problems, issues, challenges, blockers. That is where we thrive as BAs. And that's the value that we bring organizations to turn that mess into something more valuable, into insights, into strategic decisions, into process improvements, into several things that would definitely help an organization. That's the huge value that BAs bring to any company they work for.
And as you are seeing BAs from different parts of the world, do they work as the same in this using the same practices? Do they work differently? How would you frame what a BA does in practice, like on day by day job?
So, well, I haven't seen one BA who does the same thing. Like, I haven't seen two BAs rather who does the same thing, even in the same organization. Even if you're on the same team, BAs will do different things, and that is the most beautiful thing about being a BA. The fact that no 2 day is the same, no 2 days are the same. The fact that you are able to wear multiple hats, you're able to do different things. And I'll say that meeting people in different countries, different organizations, or even different sectors has been so enlightening, because we have BAs in health tech, in the healthcare, we have BAs in finance, we have BAs in law, we have BAs in energy, and so on and so forth. We have BAs all over the place. And the kind of projects they work on are very different. But um there's an underlying thing that joins us, that brings us all together, and that is problem solving. What we do is help organizations to identify the real cause of any issues they're going through, any problems that they have. For some organization, it could be that they don't have as many customers anymore. For another startup, it could be that their the user engagement rate is dropping. For another company, it could be um, the time it takes for someone to start a process and end a process. There are different reasons, there are different things that could come up in your industry, in your country, in your company, wherever you are. But the underlying thing is our ability to be able to help organizations to solve these problems. That's what unites us. Um, on a day-to-day basis, using myself as an example, what I do on a day-to-day is I have a lot of meetings with stakeholders. And this is not just throwing questions at them and taking notes. It's trying to understand their situation. So someone could come up to you and say, "Oh, I've been trying to do this particular thing for not for some years now, but it's so clunky. I'm so frustrated. I'm tired of the way it works, and nobody's listening to me." I've had people tell me that in meetings, and I try to ask further questions. What exactly is making you frustrated? Is there anything that the company already offers that you have not explored? If not, then that means maybe there's a gap there that we need to kind of see what is the current process? How do you currently do things? Okay, what will be the ideal future state? What do you think the ideal um life would look like? And then we'll say, okay, how do we then get to that point? Planning that step by step is one of the things that we do as BAs. So that is just one example. For some things, it is supporting product development. So, BAs, some BAs will say, "Oh, I'm a BA, but I don't like working with data." Some BAs will say, "I'm a BA, but I don't like writing test cases, or I don't like doing process maps." But sometimes we have to bring all of these things together to be able to achieve what our stakeholders needs, what the company needs, what the focus of the organization is. And I think that's what really helps us to be valuable in any organization that we're working in.
And by what you're saying, I believe you have to have a full toolkit of tools, techniques, and ways of treating different situations, because that's you don't know what you're gonna face, and you have to figure out what's
Absolutely.
the best approach for every initiative. If you
Yeah.
would separate a junior BA from a senior BA, how would you expect the senior BA to be measured differently?
Hmm. That's a very good question. I love that question so much because um, I think it was 2 years ago. I was trying to move from being a BA into a more to take on more tasks and be a senior BA role. And I asked myself, I did a lot of research. I asked myself, what do I need to do to get from point A to point B? And then I sat
As a
down
BA, you are doing
as a
BA on
BA.
yourself, right?
Exactly. So I sat down and I thought it wasn't getting more skills. I did another certification in data analysis. I I did a lot of things. I was gaining all the skills. I was doing all the things, getting the experience. But I realized that what I really needed to take on to move up in my career are these three things I'm going to mention. The first one is influence. As a BA, you must be able to influence the people you're working with. I'm not saying force your decisions on them. I'm not saying like push back all the time. but you must be able to use the right tools, the right methods, the data to influence decisions. That is when you know that is when people start to give you the respect that you and that's when people start to recognize the work you're doing. It's not in the document you produce, it's not in the process map, it's not in using Visio, it's not in it's not in wireframing or anything like that. It's in being able
Even
to
you can use
influence
all
when it
those to
matters.
influence. That's not the
Oh
point. The
yes.
point is
No,
the
that's not the point. You can
uh,
do all of those things. You can upskill. Like I said, I did a certification. I had to upskill myself. I'd only focused on the process improvement part of BA, but I had to look at other things that I needed to do. I did the data analysis certification, learned Power BI, SQL, Tableau, added all of that to my skill set. Well, something else that I added was the skill of influence. And the second one is negotiation, which is kind of close to influence. As a BA, when you're working with people, you've got to be able to negotiate priorities, negotiate, you know, timelines, negotiate a lot of things. You need to be able to negotiate in a way that, because we're always in the middle, aren't we? We're always in the middle of the business and the technical team. So we must be able to negotiate for one or the other, but our eyes must always be on the goal, on the strategic goals, on the benefits that the project will bring to the organization. So being able to negotiate will differentiate a junior BA from a senior BA. And then leadership. Leadership is very important. So for a long time in my career, I would join project meeting calls and I would be quiet. And even when I had opinions, I wouldn't say anything and just send someone a quiet Teams message saying, I think that. And then they would take my ideas and like say it on next calls and they would take like the ownership, the credits for that. For some time it didn't matter to me, but then I realized that it was affecting my growth. I was not pushing myself. And the reason why I was scared of speaking was because I didn't want to be held responsible for those things. And that is leadership. You should be willing to be held responsible for the decisions that are being made, for the things that you want to share. You should be able to take ownership. You're not just a note taker, you're not just like listening in calls and writing notes and passing that on to someone else, but you need to be in the room and be a leader. Direct conversation, ask questions, you know um learning communication skills, saying the right things at the right time to the right people. All of those things are very important in differentiating yourself from someone that is a junior BA.
in your context. In what extent do BAs actually influence, make decisions, or just inform? So, how do you evaluate the authority of a BA in your organization? What do you see different in some other folks that you have been seeing around? Does the role make any change,
Well, it
or the
does,
job title?
but the job title doesn't really make much difference, to be very honest with you. And that's why I try to tell people a lot of times, like, don't be bogged down by what your title says. If you're a junior person, doesn't mean you can't flex your skills. I like using the word flex your skills. You can flex your skills and grow. I don't think the title of like a junior BA or senior BA really matters. But in a way it does. I will not, say that don't aim to be a senior BA. It doesn't make any difference. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, it is how you're able to grow and what you're able to do on any team that you're working for. So back to your question about how a BA can influence decisions compared to just informing or just taking notes. So I'll try to give an example that is relatable. Let's say you're on a project team. You have the project manager, possibly product owner, depending on the size of the company. You have the technical people, maybe the developers, the engineers that will be responsible for building these products that you're working on. And you're also on the team as the BA. Now the project team have come together and they're trying to decide on how they would engage with stakeholders, for example. Say, oh, I think let's just send them an email and tell them this is what we want from them. It's straightforward. We don't need to go through the documenting the requirements is too long. We just need to get this done quickly. There's really no need for. I get that a lot. You won't believe how many times people try to undermine the importance of our work. I get that a lot. So, what I would do as a BA in that situation in terms of influencing is first let them see the risks of their approach. Of course, welcome it. It's okay because there might actually be some sense in what they're saying, but then let them also understand the risks of their approach. If you reach out to a stakeholder who is busy asking them to answer a number of questions in your email, you will be ignored and this will impact timeline. However, if we communicate intentionally with them, we'll gain their buy-in and they'll be able to give us the level of detail that we require. Now, speaking directly in that kind of meeting will help them shift their focus. So, oh, it's actually very important for us to do it this way instead of saying, let's just get done with this. Let's just move on. And then you're not just speaking, you're also following up with actions. So once you say that on the call, you back it up with actions. You do it the right way, you do it well. And when they say the result of your approach, the next time you're speaking, they will definitely listen. Do you get what I mean? So they're not just going to say, oh, she just talks, she doesn't really do it, and she wasted our time even more. If we had done it our way, it would have been easier, would have gotten answers by now. So it's very important for us to be able to show up and be true to every single thing we say. So it's not just talking, it's also doing. And another thing about ownership, sometimes with work, especially if you have multiple roles in a team, sometimes BAs work as PMs, as project managers, sometimes product owners, so that the line can get really blurry between who is responsible for what. So as a BA, we have a framework called the racing matrix. I use this all the time. And when everyone is so excited to work on the project, I'm taking us some steps back to say, this is exciting, this is good. Yes, let's do this. But who is going to be responsible for this task? Who is going to be accountable? And who should be informed? And this helps us a lot, especially when it comes to adoption and change later down the line when a solution has been implemented or a process improvements initiative has been completed. When you've informed the right people at the right time using that racing matrix, then adoption rate improves. They are ready to use the solution that you're building. There is minimal friction or pushback on any change that has been, deployed. So those are some of the things that I would say would really help us to do the influencing parts. And it's easy for someone to say on the call, "Oh, Tony, could you please create a report to do this and that?" And then at 5 p.m., "Hi, manager, this is the report you asked from me," and you'd give yourself a pat on the back that you've done the document. But where does it go? Why is that document important? What does it do? Why have you created the document? So it's not just that, but it's really stepping up and pushing ourselves. So sometimes well, not sometimes, all the time, I push myself a lot because I know that I've got so much to give to any organization that I'm working in, and I'm doing it for their benefits, but also for my benefit to be able to grow in my career.
And let's be fair, nobody needs a new report. They expect the report to give them something that they need. And if you don't understand
Absolutely.
that, we might be giving them the wrong solution for the problem because we
Oh
don't even know what the
yes,
problem is, right?
absolutely. That's spot
Right.
on. That is spot on.
Nice. Let me ask you another question about how business analysis has evolved in your career, in your company. So, like 10 years ago, how business analysis was being done is the same as it is today, and looking for the future, 10 years from now, do you expect it to change? So how
Oh,
do you see the profession evolving over time from past to
ah,
present and future?
yes, yes, absolutely. Um, you've asked me wonderful questions so far. These are good.
Thank you.
These are things that I really enjoy
You
enjoy
gave
talking
me
about.
wonderful answers.
Thank you for
That's
saying
why I
that.
keep pushing you.
Thank you for saying that. Okay. So, well, in the past, business analysis was more about documentation. It was more about step by step process. Most projects were done with the waterfall project management method, and most of those were document heavy, very detailed. In fact, BAs will get good feedback from stakeholders or from their managers if they're able to create a very detailed tons of rows and columns of requirements, for a project before they then progress to the other aspects of the project. And that has changed a lot. We used to be, I don't know if you remember, there used to be scribes. So there will be a BA that will be a scribe during facilitation sessions, during workshop sessions. And so we'll take notes and jot things down while they run the show, things like that. We used to be note takers and all of those things. But compared to how the business analysis profession works today, that has changed a lot. CBAs as strategic consultants, we've changed from take this and do this to how do we then do this? People are asking, companies are starting to ask BA questions more. That is, we now inform decisions that are being made. For example, someone reached out to me to say that, oh, this is a project that we're working on, and we are considering this process for some of our stakeholder groups. What do you think about this? And I took that away, I took that question away. But before I did that, I also asked them follow-up questions like, what are your fears? What are your concerns about your decision? Why do you think it's necessary for me to work on this? Have you heard anything from other people? What feedback have you gotten? So when they gave me those answers, I did my research and also met with other stakeholders, similar situations that happened, asked them questions, put all of that together, and then I made my recommendation saying, this is why I've heard from you. This is why I've heard from similar situations like this. And this is why I think we can learn from it. So this is what we should do going forward. And they took that, that was what they took on, to that was the final that led to the final decision that was being made on that issue. And that is how we're evolving. It's not just sitting down to the right requirements. Even requirements documentation has changed. There is no one way to write requirements any longer. Things are more agile now. We are documenting user stories, but we are focusing on what really matters. We are keeping that relationship between stakeholders. We are building bond with the business clients, and also with the technical group, ensuring that everyone works together to achieve the same goal. We're looking at projects from a perspective of, yes, we want to do this project, but how does it align to the strategic goal of the organization? What benefits are what are the benefits that we should be measuring, and are we going to report back on? Asking those questions and following it up with actions is what the BA role looks like now. And the most interesting part, AI, like would I talk about this without mentioning AI, artificial intelligence? It is a game changer. It is saving us a lot of time that we would spend on research, that would spend on documentation. Of course, I am a fan of artificial intelligence, but I'm also a fan of using it responsibly. If your organization hasn't commissioned a particular AI group, do not put company information in an external AI site. Like that's something I'm always saying. But when I say AI, it's not just even using AI for our work, it's also helping organizations to deliver AI projects, asking key questions, looking at governance, data, risk. We're not asking questions about what impacts does it make. We're looking into cybersecurity, we are aware of data governance. All of these things weren't what we would concern ourselves with in the past. But now we're being involved in those conversations because it's very important in the day and age that we live in. And in the future, I'm expecting this to even expand more. BAs are already wearing different hats, like I mentioned. A BA will be a product owner here, will be, will be a PM sometimes there, will do different things. As a BA, personally, I have like a Scrum Master certification. I have a product owner certification. I have a product management and project management certification, as well as a BA certification. And it's not just because I wanted to like have this and not a bit of that, not a bit of this, but all of this have really shaped me as a BA to be able to support any team that I'm in. So when there's a gap in any project, I'm able to, work, step up and support that project team to deliver successfully. And I see us there will be so many opportunities for us to grow as time goes on, and as we move on, as we progress, as the industry is changing. I'll just encourage everyone, So be flexible and adapt to that change, and also be ready for that change, and step up as well. That's what I would recommend.
Nice. Finding gaps, fulfilling gaps, and making those change happens. Very good, Tony. Tony, if someone who's watching us today wants to get in touch with you or getting connected to the BA Sphere, how can they do that?
So, LinkedIn is the first place. I am a big user of LinkedIn. I'll say first because that was where I found my very first mentor, who I'll always reference because he gave me a chance, and I'm more than happy to give people that same chance. So LinkedIn, my LinkedIn, Toni Falade, is like the best place to reach out to me. To join BS Fair, we have a website, so bsfair.co.uk. There you'll find information on how to join the community. The community currently runs, it's an online community on WhatsApp, and we've moved from other community channels because we wanted people to be able to easily engage and not have to open another app or another, website to interact with us. So it's something that is on your phone. It's in an app you already use, so you'll be able to build that community easily. So that's BS Fair and how you can connect with me.
Perfect. And I'm including those links below this video. Just click. Thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure. And stay tuned because other videos are coming talking about the current state and the future state of business analysis. Welcome. Thank you for joining me, Tony.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to speak with you.